Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to Talking Sports with Evan. I am Evan Witalison, your host here tonight. And lots to go, lots to talk about. First, the Brewers get a nice victory week one. I mean, not week one, it's week one of the NFL season is coming up. Thursday is the first game. And WWE had their Clash at the Castle pay per view and a little impressed about it. And I'm going to, kind of talk a little bit about what stood out to me at the Clash at the Castle pay-per-view. I'm also going to give my predictions for all week 1 games in the NFL and my division predictions. And we'll see how accurate I am or not. And Brewers, I'm going to start there. Um Brewers get a nice victory today. And last week, I talked about how I'm still on the bandwagon that they can make the playoffs, and I still feel, although the division is not looking good, um, they're not done. They're not done. The division race isn't over until they're mathematically eliminated. It just is going to be a lot harder for them, but fortunately, they get the victory, and the Cardinals get shut out. At least last I saw, yep, the Cardinals get shut out by the Washington Nationals, and that means it's down to 7.5 games. The Brewers are now 7.5 games behind the Cardinals for the division. They gained a half game on the they gained a half game on the Phillies, who did not play today, and now they're 7.5 behind the Cardinals, who lost today. And one of the reasons I'm confident with the Brewers is they still have 4 games left against St. Louis coming up. They have this series currently against the Rockies, and if they can take at least 2 out of 3, if not sweep the series, they have a doubleheader Thursday against the Giants. Split that at worst, and then you got the Reds, and then you travel to St. Louis next on the 13th, 14th, 2-game series, and then at end of September, 27, 28, St. Louis comes to American Family Field. That's 4 games right there that if the Brewers can somehow take all 4, that's 4 games knocked off right there. That 7.5 lead cuts down by 4, and then who knows what happens? Are they going to win all 4 against St. Louis? Probably not. But again, until they're mathematically eliminated from division contention, I still feel they can win the division. Now, am I likely wrong? Yes. But it's still possible. So now they're 2 games behind Philly. San Diego's in action right now. Philly and San Diego are starting to struggle a little bit right now, too. So that's why I still think the Brewers can get in. And the win today was huge. And got to tip your hat to Adrian Hauser. He did not look like he was going to last very long in the game. He didn't look like he was going to be in the game very long after he had a 31-pitch first inning. And then he settled down and didn't give up any. He gave up 3 runs, 1 earned in the first inning, too. And then he settled down and didn't give up a run the rest of the game. And he ended up having a very solid start. And that is the Adrian Hauser from last year. Adrian Hauser is not your Corbin Burns. He's not your Brandon Woodruff. He's not going to dominate a game. And yes, Corbin Burns has struggled his last 2 appearances. But that's not who Adrian Hauser is. He's a guy that's going to maybe give up 3-4 runs in a game, but he's going to eat innings, and he's going to he's able to throw a lot of pitches. And today he was on a pitch count, and they took him out after 5. Boxberger had the 6, and the Brewers get the victory. Devin Williams made it interesting, walking the leadoff hitter in the bottom of the 9th inning. But overall, it was an impressive win. And Colorado plays really well at home. They have a batting order that can hit the you-know-what out of the baseball. Their record doesn't indicate it. As you look at Colorado's record, they're 57-79. Their record doesn't indicate it, but they're a team that can hit the baseball pretty hard. And thankfully, the Brewers were able to get the victory. And One of the things I heard today in the broadcast with the Brewers, who improved on the road to 36 and 37, they're 35 and 26 at home. I should say a couple interesting things I heard. One, Christian Yelich has never hit a home run at Coors Field. Hopefully that changes this series. It just surprises me. It's such a home run park. He had 2018 and 2019 where he hit a lot of home runs. I just expected him to have a couple home runs at Coors Field during 2018 and 2019, but he's never homered at Coors Field. The other interesting stat is the Brewers are one of the best in baseball with extra base hits statistically, but they also don't have a lot of doubles. So they hit a lot of home runs, but they don't get a lot of doubles, and hence you get a lot of extra base hits. So, but if Yelich continues to play well, Padres are down 1-0 currently in the bottom of the fifth inning, or going into the bottom of the fifth inning. Hopefully the Diamondbacks can play good baseball again and knock San Diego down. So they'll be closer to basically San Diego and Philly would be tied, and the Brewers would be 2 games out of the wild card for both spots, and hopefully we can see that happen. Padres have lost 2 in a row, losing 2 in a row to the Dodgers. So if Yelich continues to stay hot, Renfroe continues to stay hot, Colton Wong stays hot. Those 3 are red hot right now. And now you need your Rowdy Tellez, you need your McCutchens, you need your Caratini or Nevaez. You need them to start getting some base hits a little more consistently. The Brewers definitely had the power and the firepower to make the wild card, if not still win the division. But like I said, I'm not going to say I'm wrong yet for the division. I know I typed in my preview if you've seen it on Facebook. Boy, was I wrong. That was earlier early afternoon, late morning, I believe, is when I published the scheduled event of me going live tonight, bringing you Talking Sports with Evan here on Labor Day. But now after the Brewers got that win, I've had a chance to think about it. I'm still cranky about being completely destroyed by Arizona 3 out of 4 games. But now that I had a chance to think about it, I'm not ready to give up on the possibility that the Brewers can, in fact, still take this division. And is it likely? No. But until they are mathematically eliminated or it reaches double digits, I'm not giving up the division. Obviously, the focus now needs to be wild card. And hopefully by chasing the wild card, you get enough wins to close the gap in the division and you can catch the Cardinals. So couple things though that came out. Lorenzo Cain came out kind of criticizing the front office and some coaches a little bit. So it kind of makes you wonder who in management and who on the coaching staff Lorenzo Cain was talking about not feeling respected, which I love Lo Cain. Loved what he his time in Milwaukee. He was a fun player to watch, fun player to follow. But this year he was bad. He was bad this year, and he couldn't get base hits. His defense was still good, but unfortunately he didn't have the arm strength anymore in left field. He could chase balls down, and still catch balls on the wall. But overall, he just didn't have it anymore, and sometimes you lose it. And that's the point where Lorenzo Cain is in his career. He's lost it. He doesn't have it anymore, and we just need to respect that and be done with that. So I guess that's easily where I sit right now when it comes to Lorenzo Cain. But it just, Eric Lauer kind of criticized the front office a little bit. Ended up throwing a shutout of the Dodgers afterward, so that was good. And now Lorenzo Cain, and it kind of makes you feel that there is a disconnect between the Brewers front office and the Brewers coaching staff and the players. It seems like there's a little disconnect there. Guys not on the same page for whatever reason. The Hader trade took a lot of guys by surprise, although Hader has not pitched very well. since the trade. Brewers haven't played very well since the trade. The Padres haven't played very well since the trade. So, but you just kind of wonder what's going on in that Brewer clubhouse with seeming, is Kane. You got to think that Lorenzo Kane and Eric Lauer aren't the only two that are feeling a little unhappy with the way things are happening right now in Milwaukee. You got to think they're not the only two. Devin Williams has seemed critical of it after the trade was done. Easy way for the Brewers, kind of pull a major league here. Easy way to kind of stick it to, management is win. They look like they're planning for the future in the trade of Josh Hader by getting two guys with high ceilings, minor leaguers back. And you released one pitcher who went to Colorado, and then Rogers has been okay. You're thinking that the team's not committed to winning today, winning this year. Well, prove them wrong. Pull it minor league style, the movie Major League style, and prove them that, hey, we can win. So I know, Major League's just a movie, it's not real life or anything, but easy way to show management that they're wrong is to win games and keep winning and win all the way into the playoffs and keep winning once you make the playoffs. So, but I'm going to move on from the Brewers. NFL season coming up Thursday night, first game of the season. Lots of great games scheduled. Eagles and Lions should be a good one. Steelers Bengals with Mitch Trubisky starting quarterback for the Steelers week 1. Those two teams always play each other hard and tough. Packers and Vikings, which I'm going to spend some time talking about quite a bit here. Chiefs and Cardinals should be a good game. And Buccaneers and Cowboys should be a fun game. Just lots of looking like fun matchups this week in the NFL, and I'm excited to get it going. It seems like the NFL offseason is getting shorter and shorter and shorter each and every year, but it seems like we haven't had football in so long, and it just feels great to have football back. So I think I'm going to start with my division predictions. And I'm going to start with the AFC East, probably the easiest division to pick in the NFL on who's going to win the division. It's Buffalo. Buffalo is going to win the division, probably be undefeated in the division, and probably have 13, 14 wins on the year. They're a very loaded team if they stay healthy. Josh Allen, they got Von Miller. Defense is going to be better rushing the passer. It's easily going to be Buffalo's division to lose. Patriots are going to take a couple of steps back, I feel, with the changeover in their coaching staff. Josh McDaniels is gone. And now you have John Judge and Matt Patricia calling your offense. And I don't think either of them have called an offense before. I know Judge was the head coach in New York with the Giants, but I don't think he was the play caller. I don't think he had much say in the offense, but it'd be interesting to see what Patricia and Judge can do with Jones. And I think the Patriots just have they lost a bit this offseason, and they're going to take a step back. Miami, you always see a team that surprises when they get a new head coach. Matt LaFleur in 2019 took the Packers to a 13-3 year. I thought they were going to win 9 games. Boy, was I wrong. But now you have the new coach in Miami, and the question is, are they going to surprise people? I think the Dolphins are going to finish second in that division quite handedly. I think they're probably going to win 9 games, 9-8 would be my guess. Maybe 8-7, right around there. Jets are probably going to finish in the bottom, but I think they're going to be closer to the Patriots than people think. So it's going to be Bills, Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots for the AFC East. The AFC West, I don't know. I don't know. The AFC West is truly the toughest division in the NFL. Denver gets Russell Wilson, still have a strong defense. New coach in Nathaniel Hackett. Like I said, there's always a team or two when they bring in a new coach, ends up surprising a lot of people. But then you bring in Russell Wilson, you raise expectations through the roof. The Raiders with Devontae Adams and Josh McDaniels as head coach. Derek Carr still there, Renfro, Waller, Jacobs. That's a pretty solid offense. Offensive line still a question, and defense needs to be better, but they're a solid team. The Chiefs still have Pat Mahomes. They lost Tyreek Hill, but they still have Pat Mahomes, and they got Juju Schuster and MVS to try to help take away some of that loss from Tyreek. They still got Kelsey. Defense says you lost Honey Badger, but you're still, defense is pretty solid still. Not great, but solid. And then the Los Angeles Chargers. And every time I pick the Los Angeles Chargers to make some noise in the NFL, they seem to always have injuries. Seem to always have guys get hurt, and they end up stubbing their toe, and they don't meet expectations. But I still think it's the Chiefs' division to lose. They have not, since Pat Mahomes became the starting quarterback, the Chiefs have won the division every year, winning, I believe, at least 12 games. Since Peyton Manning retired, the Chiefs have won the division every year. I still think it's the Chiefs' division to lose. I think second place is going to be Denver with that defense they have, plus getting Russell Wilson there with a pretty solid offense. I think Denver will finish second. And then it'll be Chargers and the Raiders. And realistically, the AFC West, every team in the AFC West has a chance to make the playoffs. There's 3 wild cards now. I think the Chiefs, the Broncos, Raiders, and Chargers all have a chance to win one of those wild card spots. So right now, you got the Bills and the Chiefs in the playoffs. Going to get the wild cards momentarily. The AFC North is going to come down to the Bengals and the Ravens. And the biggest thing with, Ravens is, can they stay healthy? They had very poor health last year. Lamar Jackson missed games. I think every single running back on their team missed games. Their secondary missed games. Their offensive line was banged up. The Ravens had a lot of injuries, and it showed, and they underachieved. Cleveland's going to be without Watson for the first 11, Deshaun Watson for the first 11 games. And even when he does come back, he hasn't played football in almost 2 years. Is he going to be ready to start in the NFL and be efficient starter? It's probably going to take him a few starts to get any rust off that he's going to have. And he did not look good at all in his first preseason action. And Pittsburgh have not had a losing season with Mike Tomlin at all. I think this will be the first year under Tomlin they do have a losing season. I think they just lost too much and too much question marks and unknown in Pittsburgh, especially at the offensive line level. And you got Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. And I think the division's going to – and then the Bengals, are they going to have the Super Bowl hangover? They lost in the Super Bowl. Are they going to have the hangover? That's going to be the question. I think the division is going to be Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, and Browns. I think the Browns, as talent-wise, is more talented than Pittsburgh, but Jacoby Brissett is not a very good quarterback, and I don't think he's going to be good enough to get you in second or third place in that division until Deshaun Watson comes back. I think you're going to dig yourself. You should have traded for Jimmy Garoppolo to bridge that gap. And if Watson struggles, you got Garoppolo that can come back in. But you're going to have Jacoby Brissett bridge that gap. And I don't think Jacoby Brissett is good enough. And I think the Browns finished last in the division, with Pittsburgh finishing third. And the AFC South, I don't need to waste a lot of time on Houston and Jacksonville. They're going to be competing for the basement in this division, probably for at least the next couple years. Jacksonville looks like they could be on the way up with Doug Peterson as head coach now. But I think it's the Colts and the Titans division to lose, and I think it's more of the Colts division to lose. You got Matt Ryan at quarterback now, who's not going to lose you games like Carson Wentz did. You have an ascending running back in Jonathan Taylor. You have a solid offensive line, and you got a stout defense. I know you lost your defensive coordinator, so you got a new defense to learn. But I just think the Colts are the best team in that division. And the Titans, you lost A.J. Brown. Your wide receiver room is big question marks. Who's going to replace the production of A.J. Brown? And Woods is coming off an injury. Burks didn't have a great training camp. Seemed injured and out of shape. I think it's going to be the Colts. And Derrick Henry's getting to that age where you're going to potentially see a steep drop-off in production, and he was hurt last year with a foot. Once you start having those foot and leg injuries, they can start stacking up, and you're as big and massive as Derrick Henry, those injuries can definitely stack up. But I think it's going to be the Colts winning the division, the Titans a distant second, and then the Jaguars, and then the Texans, who I think the Texans are going to be the number one pick in the draft. They're just a bad team. Lovie Smith was not the right choice for head coach. Davis Mills is a talented quarterback, but doesn't have enough around him. So your division winners will be Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, and Indianapolis. And your wild cards, as I kind of hinted at, your wild cards are going to be the Broncos, Raiders, and the Chargers. I just think those three teams, sorry, Bengals, I just think those three teams are basically going to run away with things. And maybe I'll be wrong, and I'll likely be wrong because I'm wrong a lot. But that's just the way I see things right now. And then jumping to the NFC. The NFC East is going to come down to the Cowboys and the Eagles. Cowboys lost Amari Cooper. Gallup's going to be out for several weeks after tearing an ACL, I believe, in the playoff game or right before the playoffs. Just a lot for the Cowboys to overcome, and they lost some talent on defense as well. And then the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. He's the X factor. Is Jalen Hurts ready to take that next step as an NFL quarterback? Is Jalen Hurts ready to be someone that can put the team on his back and carry them to victories? That's going to be the question. And I think Dallas wins the division just because I think they have more talent than Philadelphia. And then obviously Dak Prescott's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts at this point. Can Jalen Hurts become better than Dak? Potentially down the road if Hurts continues to develop. But Dak Prescott's the better quarterback. And I think you're going to have the Giants finishing third and the Commanders finishing in last. Carson Wentz, not sold on him. And the defense was supposed to be so great, underachieved tremendously last year. And I think this is going to be Ron Rivera's last year in Washington, as I think he gets fired after they fail to make the playoffs and they fail to win 6 games. I think they're going to be right around 5 wins. NFC West, outside of Seattle, very tough conference. The Cardinals with Kyler Murray, but who's he going to throw the ball to early on? With Hopkins out for 6 weeks due to suspension. The Rams, not a lot of depth, but probably the most talented roster in the NFL, defending Super Bowl champions. Stafford's been dealing with an elbow. Is that going to be a problem? And then, like I said, due to giving up a lot of draft picks constantly, they don't have a ton of depth. And if guys get hurt, then possibly there's the potential that they could struggle trying to fill that depth because they don't really have the money to go out and get guys like they did last year, even though they always seem to find the money. And apparently they have a locker waiting for Odell. He's likely going to sign with the Rams once he's healthy. 49ers, Trey Lance is the guy now, but Jimmy Garoppolo is still there. And it's a smart decision by Jimmy Garoppolo. Horrible decision by the 49ers because now you have Trey Lance looking over his shoulder. You're going to have 49er fans banging at the drum on every incomplete pass that Trey Lance throws. Because in San Francisco, you have a Super Bowl roster with that team. You have a Super Bowl caliber roster in San Francisco, but Trey Lance, is he going to be the starting quarterback that you think you drafted? Or is he still not quite ready to take over? And as long as Garoppolo's sitting on that roster, you're going to have him looking over his shoulder and fans clamoring for him. And smart for Garoppolo staying in San Francisco because now you get a chance to get that shoulder fully healthy. He had off-season shoulder surgery. You can focus on getting that fully healthy. And if you do get playing time, you can earn some money in the offseason based on how you play. And there might be some quarterback openings in this offseason. Detroit, there could be an opening. Houston, there can be an opening. Washington, there can be an opening. Seattle, likely going to be an opening as they have Drew Lock or I forget who else the other guy is. But they don't have many options at quarterback. Chicago, maybe Justin Fields falls flat on his face and Chicago decides they want to make a change. And you have the connection with the San Francisco offense potentially being run in Chicago with Luke Getsy as the offensive coordinator. Garoppolo has run it before. Maybe they decide to bring him in. So Garoppolo is going to have a lot of options in 2023 if he can show that he can still be efficient, and he can still be healthy. And that's going to be, there's just a lot for Garoppolo to show that there's a lot to gain from Jimmy Garoppolo at this point, staying in San Francisco, than there is going someplace else. Because because of the shoulder, he wasn't going to get traded before June or July. Doesn't have an off season with any of the teams you would have been traded to. You're probably going to struggle a little bit learning an offense that you're not comfortable with. San Francisco, if he does get in, he knows the offense inside and out. He's been successful in San Francisco. And like I said, there's a lot of options in this offseason that Jimmy Garoppolo can go. And then Seattle is going to be the bottom feeder. I think going to be the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, and Seattle. And a hot take here, I think for Arizona, this is going to be the last season of Kingsbury being the head coach. I think they finish below 500, and I think ownership decides that we have a very talented team here. There's no reason for us not to win the division, not to compete for the playoffs, and we finished under 500. And I think we're going to have a new coach in Arizona next year. The NFC North, Chicago's a mess. They're rebuilding. Question marks all across, wide receiver, offensive line especially. The Bears are probably fight for the number one seed, number one pick in the draft with Houston. Detroit, going to have a very good offensive line. It's going to be offensively, it's going to be up to Jared Goff. Can he lead this offense to 500? You can't finish 500 now, but is he going to finish this? Can he lead this team to a better, 500 record, a better than 500 record, a winning record? Can he lead Detroit to that? Packers, as long as Aaron Rodgers is in town, they're the kings of that division. And then Minnesota, new coach. What can he unleash Kirk Cousins a little bit? That offense does have talent in Minnesota. Offensive line seems to be improved, but defense, Ed Donatel leading that defense. He's not been a great defensive coordinator in other spots. He was not good in Green Bay. He was not good in Denver, and now he's in Minnesota. I don't think Ed Donatel is going to be good in Minnesota. I think the division is going to be Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, and then Chicago. And I think Detroit is close to finishing above 500, but I think they're a game under 500. I think they don't quite take that next step, but they take a little bit better than last year. And I think the South is going to obviously come down between the Saints and Tampa Bay. Panthers, can Baker Mayfield, can he be the quarterback that led the Browns to the playoffs 2 years ago? Or is he going to be the quarterback that underachieved while injured last year? Falcons are going to be bad. I mean, number one pick in the NFL, potential bad. And here's going to be a hot take. I think the Saints win the division. I think the Panthers finish second. I think Tampa Bay finishes third. Tom Brady's had tremendous luck in his career. He's had tremendous with injuries. He hasn't really been injured. He's had tremendous luck in Tampa Bay, but that offensive line in Tampa Bay is not very good, not as good as it was. You're missing your starting center. One of your guards from last year retired, and I think your other guard's battling injury, and your starting left tackle is banged up a little bit. I think Tampa Bay is going to struggle. They're going to struggle, and then you have Todd Bowles as their coach. Brian Leftwich is the offensive coordinator. I think Tampa Bay is going to struggle. I think Tom Brady's going to struggle, and then with the potential issues in his personal life that's been rumored with Gazelle and him having some problems, I think that could weigh in a little bit too. And I think Tampa Bay finishes third in that division, tied with Carolina. So playoff, you're going to have the Saints, the Packers, the Rams, and the Cowboys. And the wild cards are going to be the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Panthers. That's my division picks for this season in the NFL. I'm not going to get into a Super Bowl and who's going to win that, but I think Rodgers will win his third straight MVP. I think the offense in Green Bay, I think he's going to show enough that gets voters saying, wow, he did this without Devontae. We have to vote for him. I think Rodgers gets his MVP for the third straight year. I think Rashawn Gary is your defensive player of the year. I know that's not me being a Packer homer. I just think that Rashawn Gary is on the verge of a breakout year, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people and be defensive player of the year. TJ Watt's going to finish second for that award, and I think that's just how it's going to go. And moving on to Sunday's game, Green Bay taking on Minnesota. I guess the advice I would give to Packer fans is don't overreact to anything that happens in Minnesota. If the offense looks like an unstoppable machine and they dominate, don't overreact to that because you have a team that, an offense that you don't know what you're going to get without Devontae. If you struggle to move the football, struggle to score, struggle to convert in the red zone, again, don't overreact because you're still working yourselves out, finding who you are with your identity. Good news is Bakhtiari thinks he's going to start this week. He practiced today. I think there's only one starter that didn't practice today. That's Alan Lazard due to an undisclosed injury, and I don't think that's a good thing, unfortunately, for Green Bay. But if you have Bakhtiari starting at left tackle, Elton Jenkins at right tackle, and then you have Runyon, Zach Tom, who I'd put at right guard personally, and then Myers at center. I think that's an offensive line that can lead you to a lot of victories, and then Dillon and Aaron Jones in the backfield. I think Green Bay wins, and I've been going back and forth on this all day when I heard that Lazard is a question mark, and then Bakhtiari nobody knows for sure still, and Tanyan and Jenkins nobody knows for sure. But I think Green Bay ends up winning. Green Bay's got better talent. I know the Vikings are better at receiver with Jefferson, but I think the Packers get this victory. I think defensively the Packers are that good, and I think they do enough to keep the Vikings out of the end zone, and the Packers end up getting that victory. Now, around the rest of the NFL, I think the Rams beat Buffalo in week 1. There's going to be a lot of emotion. You're getting the Super Bowl banner up. You're getting your rings. A lot of emotion. The crowd, if there is one, because LA crowds aren't always the best, but the crowd's going to be rocking. It's just going to be a tough situation for Buffalo. I think the Rams get the week 1 victory. I think the Lions beat the Eagles in week 1. That's going to be a surprise, I think, to a lot of people if the Lions get the victory at home. 49ers beat the Bears. The Bengals beat the Steelers. Mitch Trubisky is benched in favor of Pickett, the rookie, after the first half. The Dolphins beat the Patriots. The Panthers beat the Browns. Baker Mayfield gets his revenge. The Colts beat the Texans. The Saints beat the Falcons. The Ravens beat the Jets. Jacksonville beats Washington. I already gave you Green Bay beating Minnesota. The Giants beat the Titans, upset of the weekend. The Raiders beat the Chargers. The Chiefs beat the Cardinals. The Broncos beat the Seahawks, and the Cowboys beat the Buccaneers. That's my thought on week 1. We'll see how wrong I am after week 1 is over. We'll see how wrong I am. But that's my thought on week 1. Gave you my division winners, gave you my MVP, gave you my defensive player of the year, mainly because they're both Packers. I'm not going to go over every other award. So moving on, last thing I want to talk about is WWE Clash at the Castle. And now Vince McMahon is not in charge of the WWE anymore. Triple H is in charge of creative. Stephanie and Nick Khan are in charge of the company overall. I just think that the product is getting better and better with Triple H in charge, and I think we're seeing it. Now, the pay-per-view or the big event, whatever they're calling them these days, very predictable. Everybody won who you thought were going to win, but the matches were good. They got proper respect and lengths of matches, and I thought that overall it was good quality. Reigns and McIntyre was a great fight until Reigns' cousin, the Usos' brother, got involved to help Reigns get the victory. Rollins, they're trying to rebuild after having him job a lot in this past year. They're trying to rebuild him, and he beats Riddle. Edge and Mysterio beating the Judgment Day, not a surprise. Dominic turning heel on his dad and Edge, not a surprise. Liv Morgan winning, again, not a surprise. She'll probably lose the belt at Survivor Series to Ronda Rousey. Set up a big Royal Rumble match between her and Becky, or her and Charlotte again. Gunther beating Sheamus, probably the match of the night. That was probably the best match overall, or best match of the afternoon, was Gunther and Sheamus. And it was a brawl, hard hitting, stiff tip. It was a nice old school match. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, not a surprise, beating Bianca, Alexa, and Asuka. And not surprised they had Madcap Moss and the Street Profits winning. I think those three continue to climb the ladder with Triple H in control of creative. So there we have it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. However you watch Talking Sports with Evan, I appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at Evan with Sports. You can also follow Talking Sports with Evan Facebook page. Just look Talking Sports with Evan. And and you can email me, talkingsportswithevan@gmail.com. With that said, I'll talk to you all later on, and hopefully I'm talking about a Packer victory next week. Have a good night, everybody.